Boris Johnson tests positive, Britain turns into a police state, and Jeremy Corbyn humiliates himself. Right, hello everyone, I hope you're all keeping safe. Today we have some difficult news, and also we'll give you an update from yesterday when Rishi Sunak announced the financial package for the self-employed. Some people are happy, some people aren't happy, but let's start today's video. We're talking about the Prime Minister. Boris Johnson has officially tested positive, and he's got minor symptoms. He's going to be self-isolating in his Downing Street flat, and he seems to be doing fine. We also just heard in the last few minutes that the Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, has also tested positive. Now, at the time of making this video, these are the only two names that we've heard, and there might be other ones when I upload this. But Boris Johnson obviously has been working very hard as Prime Minister during this situation, and so I'm obviously wishing him the best. Same goes to Matt Hancock, the Health Secretary, who has apparently been working literally 24/7. He's hardly had any sleep, and now he's obviously has to self-isolate and work from home. Now, in other news, the British police, specifically Derbyshire, are taking advantage of the new powers that they've been given by the government with the new guidelines, the lockdown guidelines. So obviously people have been asked to stay at home, and these are obviously very serious guidelines that's coming from the government. And the Derbyshire police have decided to go around using their drones to stalk people and invade their privacy and basically name and shame. Now, there's a bit of a problem here. So I fully understand the intention. And but at the same time, if you look at the details, the guidelines do not prohibit driving somewhere for exercise or dog walking. Now, that's one issue with this. But also, generally speaking, when you have there are different priorities, and some people have completely kicked off on social media and mainstream media as well when it comes to Derbyshire police and their behaviour. This is the Big Brother watch that said you can't police guidance, only the law, because Derbyshire police said that this is government guidance and that you have to stay at home, and obviously the Big Brother watch said, well, you can't police guidance, only the law. The regulations laid today specifically permit exercise outdoors and make no restriction on travel for exercise. At-risk groups may benefit from walks in more remote locations than densely populated ones near their home. And we even have had some former police officers and their own colleagues criticizing them. Yes, a former police officer, David, said, "This is the worst kind of nanny policing, and I say that as a former colleague. Taking a walk by yourself in the middle of nowhere seems it's true, because when it comes to social distancing, these people have been going around to the most remote area. And as David also says, the building site next to him in the middle of London, in terms of the people hanging around and working and walking around, now that has to be a priority for the police to encourage people not to obviously be around each other than in a remote area." And we've had other tweets like this. "Please explain exactly what harm these people are doing, taking quiet exercise away from the crowds in small numbers. And if they're doing no harm, leave them alone." Yasmin Mohammed also said, "Leave people alone. They can easily leave a safe distance between them and others." And they have been doing this. The City AM's Rachel Conliffe also said, "Apparently this police force has nothing better to do than harass people who are following government advice, going to remote spots where they will encounter far fewer people than in residential areas. Shaming people for being sensible is not a good look for the state." She also said, "I've come back from my daily permitted and advised run to find that police forces are now shaming people for going to remote areas to walk, which are clearly safer than residential streets. This lockdown is necessary and people understand that. Creeping authoritarianism is not." Yes, because, again, the Derbyshire police keep saying, well, no, if in case everybody in hundreds of people decide to go to these remote places and become crowded. Well, if that happens, then go there. Then encourage people to go home. When we have the London Tube, when we have, again, construction sites with lots of people being very close to each other, and that's why we have this meme. Yeah, this meme shows how the police implement social distancing during lockdown of 2020. When it's a remote area, the police is freaking out. When it's a London Tube, Yeah, the police doesn't seem to care. Well, massive hypocrisy. The police state is here, and this is what we have to be dealing with. And I think if we're not exposing these sort of things, it could get a lot worse. And I hope that even the government, central government, criticise the Derbyshire police. We're still waiting to hear about that. But speaking of hypocrisy, we had a random journalist on Question Time last night who decided to criticise the Boris Johnson's government for taking late action when it comes to this problem. And then we found a specific tweet that he sent back in January saying the exact opposite.
And honestly, it's sorry to say this, but it's a national scandal. We shouldn't be in this position. We knew in the last week of January that this was coming. The message from China was absolutely clear that a new virus with pandemic potential was hitting cities. People were being admitted to hospital, admitted to intensive care units and dying, and the mortality was growing. We knew that 11 weeks ago. And then we wasted February when we could have acted.
Yes, this guy, back in January himself, he said the exact opposite. He said, a call for caution, please. Media are escalating anxiety by talking about this, the killer virus and growing fears. In truth, from what we know, he's talking about that at the time, like we don't know how easy it is to transmit and escalate. And he said there's no reason to panic and exaggerate language. Now, yesterday we had the Chancellor Rishi Sunak coming out to finally announce the financial package and support for the self-employed. And so some people are happy, some people aren't, because it doesn't include everybody. So there are the three tiers of sole traders and partnerships and the actual limited companies with one employee, the actual self-employed person. The bottom bit are technically not really included. And also those who are new and have just incorporated their company over the last few months, they're not going to be included either. And so in terms of the details, the scheme will be open to people across the UK and will run for at least 3 months. Grants will be claimable alongside continued earnings. The scheme will be available for individuals with trading profits of up to £50,000. To make sure only the genuinely self-employed benefit, it will be available to those who make the majority of their income from self-employment. To minimise fraud, only those with a tax return for 2019 will be available to apply. And this is the whole thing. 95% of those who are majorly self-employed will be able to access this scheme, but not the others. And so this is the whole situation with this support. And as I said, it was never going to be perfect, but at least the government did something about it. So there's kind of silver lining, I guess. But at the same time, with all these spendings, massive borrowings and potential tax rises, Jeremy Corbyn has come out to embarrass himself again. He has basically came on TV and said, I've won the argument. Because of this problem, the government have been spending money, which means I was right, which means we should be spending more money. We should basically nationalise the whole country. So let's listen to what Jeremy says.
I did everything I possibly could to win both elections and to say to the people of this country, the only way our society can come together is if we're prepared to invest. I was denounced as somebody that wanted to spend more money than we could possibly afford in order to right the social wrongs of this country. I didn't think that it would take only 3 months for me to be proved absolutely right by the amount of money the government is now prepared to put in.
Now, are you kidding me with this? Seriously? Yeah, the guy has no shame. And so in terms of today's good piece of news and positivity, it's a bit cringy. It is essentially virtue signalling, but it was for a good cause. Some people didn't like it. Some people liked it. It's irrelevant because the people who were supposed to be happy, they were. Last night, across the country, people around 8 p.m. came out and clapped, applauded because of the hard work of the NHS staff, nurses, care workers, doctors, and it was good when it comes to symbolism. It is virtual signalling, obviously, but sometimes it's needed. So we've had some clips from across the country showing this. Now, obviously, it's great to also see Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak outside number 10. But the clip before that, Jeremy Corbyn, why is he doing that? Let's actually watch Jeremy again. Right, so he even has to make this about himself. Everybody else just like making normal videos. He has to go in the middle of the street. He doesn't know how to clap properly. It was really awkward clapping. And yeah, it's all about him. You know, he's the king of the moment. So yeah, Jeremy Corbyn's ego has come out again massively. But this is where we are now. We are going to be talking about all this on a daily basis and also other news that you don't hear from the mainstream media. This is the channel for you. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Click on the bell next to it so you get notified. We have a daily show at 5:45 p.m. And also, if you check, because I think YouTube are accidentally, let's just say, unsubscribing some of the people who have been following certain channels like this. So every now and then, just to check to make sure you are still subscribed. We also have our membership club on YouTube. If you want to check it out, the link is in the description, or you could just go on the join button next to subscribe, or go on your browser and type in youtube.com/mytc/join. You get a lot of extra content and exclusive live streams and live Q&As. I'm MyTC. I'll see you guys tomorrow with a new video.